A couple of nights ago, I decided to make my own art journal for myself, and it turned out pretty awesome. The text block is a bunch of old maps that I tore out of an atlas and obviously did not cut smoothly. Don't care, gonna paint all over it. So I am admiring it, and then I get sidetracked at the lovely little tiny journals that have been finished. Little pocket notebooks I made, quite proud of those, but I need to move them out of the way of making other things so they don't get ruined in the process. Text block, it's over 65 pages. I haven't counted, but it's pretty decent and thick. I used Coptic binding stitch to make my pages together, and yes, I'm quite enamored with just the text block. And the pages are all maps. So here's a little time lapse of me making the cover. And I do all of this work at night when my child is asleep because I have to focus. I'm gluing some cardboard from a cereal box onto a larger sheet of paper that is cardstock weight. And this process takes time because it needs to dry flat. Oh, hi. There you go. Hi. As you can tell, I haven't quite figured out how to position my cameras appropriately, but this will do for now. I have to make measurements to put the spine piece on and the back cover piece on. All of this is cardboard, recycled. Smooth it out with my bone folder so there's no bubbles, and measure some more. I'm gonna trim the edges after I finish gluing this down. I'm using PVA glue. It dries like rubber almost, and I'm almost out of glue, finally. But once I get all this glued in place, I have to put a bunch of books on top and let it dry really flat. I trim the edges all the way around the glued covers to 3/4 of an inch so that I can fold them over nice and neatly after it's dried. And this takes a long time. Each stage requires drying in between. This is not a project for quickness. At some point, I'll figure out where to put the camera. There's some shots of it all dried, and I've already glued over the edges. I use a little paintbrush so I don't make it too messy. And then I glue in the text block. What I didn't realize were how thin these map pages were. Here it is finished, and I'm going to decorate the cover because it's blank white and pretty boring. So I'm just going to cut up some scraps of that cardstock paper and glue them randomly all over the cover to give it some texture, using my trash available. This was just to relax and enjoy the process. Not too exciting, but this is how I decorated the cover so it wasn't so dull. Then, after I get glue all over the table and all over everything, you'll notice there's a lot of smudgies and dirt on this blank white cover, so I'm throwing some paint on it. And because I like to feel it, I use my fingers and a card, and then I'm too impatient to let it dry, so I just keep adding more paint. More paint, more paint, more paint. Normally I'd dry this in between with a hairdryer, but since my child is 10 feet behind me asleep, I'm not going to use the hairdryer, but I will set it in front of a heater for a second. Here is the finished painted cover for now. I might add more to it later. And a quick little visual tour of the paint job. You can see there's some rips where the paint was wet. Don't care. This is my art journal, and I'm going to make a mess in it anyway. So stay tuned for some more videos about page processes, but this is a little intro to an art journal I made for myself while waiting for other things to dry to put in my shop. Here is the giant atlas from 2002 that I used for the pages. Ta-da! I hope you've enjoyed this. Stay tuned for some more art journaling video.